Sometimes in hip hop, we have to appreciate how an artist can say something so dark in such a beautiful way. Go subscribe, yeah, subscribe. Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to Brews and Reviews. It's Knowledge, and today I'm reviewing Ransom's Se7en, and I am sipping on a Four Peaks Kilt Lifter. That is a 6% Scottish-style amber ale from Tempe, Arizona. My boy Twiz brought this back to me from his trip to Phoenix, and this was one of my favorite beers when I used to go to Phoenix all the time. I can't get it from where I'm from, so I'm really enjoying this, just like I'm enjoying this dude's flow. Let's get into Ransom. I've been really enjoying the last several projects from this dude, and I've wanted to review him for a while. I just haven't been able to. The timing just wasn't right with the way that everything worked out, but I have been digging his albums. He is a true MC's MC, a complete wordsmith who has an incredible out-of-this-world flow, as he proves with every single guest appearance that he's on. If you haven't heard a Ransom guest appearance, go check it out. His joint with Conway on If It Bleeds, It Can Be Kills come to mind immediately, and this dude murders every guest spot that he's on. I'm glad to see he's finally making some noise, because he is no young MC. He's been at it for a long time, but it's interesting, while he's still not a household name to casual rap fans, even the most real underground hip hop heads didn't even really start checking for him until 2019, 2020. And I really like this trend we're seeing lately of older rappers who have been paying their dues on the underground for a long time finally getting their dues and getting to see that work paid off. Ransom is definitely in that category. Mokhami is probably the prime example. Dude is blowing up with an album of the year contender, and even Griselda are in that category because they were no spring chickens when they first started to blow up. And without even hearing this project, we know the concept from the cover art and the title. It's 7 tracks based around the 7 Deadly Sins, and it's also a nod to the movie. Ransom is a huge movie buff. So many of his songs and album covers referencing different movies over time, including his last project, Crime Scenes, which referenced my favorite movie of all time, Pulp Fiction. And the first Deadly Sin is Envy. Here he teams up with frequent collaborator Nicholas Craven, who gives us a melodic vocal loop so Ransom can pack in his extravagant lines. And when I say he's an MC's MC, you'll know what I'm talking about from the very first bars. This dude packs in so many syllables into one song, one verse, one line, really, that it almost seems like it wouldn't work. A lot of MCs that get wordy like that struggle and sound like they're behind the beat, but somehow Ransom makes these multi-syllabic, extravagant syllabic lines work. And you know who else does this? And I just now realized as I'm saying this that Ransom kind of reminds me of this other rapper, and I'm talking about Royce the 5'9", Nickel 9, who we'll also hear later on this project. And in this quick one-verse song, Ransom gives us a lesson, basically talking about beware of the homie who is envious or jealous of the other dude that's getting money. He says, you give him the money, he buy the drugs, gets locked, and now he needs a lawyer fees. Damn. Gluttony, a dark, slow piano beat for Ransom to kick some ill, dark bars over. Just listen to these first 4 lines. He says, always been vicious, never hired shooters, fire Rugers, violent bruisers known to start riots and then incite the looters, make sly maneuvers when you slide in Ubers, high abusers. Life is easy when your top's down and you know you're dying ruthless. So many multiple rhymes within each line. Virtually every word rhymes with something else. And while he's doing that, he does it throughout the entire verse, but he's also dropping lyrical jewels like fools will learn from mistakes, a genius learn from mistakes of others. And speaking of more mature rappers, Lloyd Banks comes in with a guest spot, and he's kind of reinvented himself. He came through with a really solid album released just last week, Greed. And here we get the Royce feature. This is a horn-driven beat with some tribal drums under it. Really a simple beat produced by Lord Sear, but there's actually a little Easter egg nod to the producer later on in this track, which I'll get into. But first, let's talk about the essay that is Royce's verse. He's getting super deep and obscure these days. He says, Bahamadia or Heather B. Every queen should never have to question their pedigree. That's Kevin Samuels. Orisha Orula to a comedic G. My queen, a better you is a better me. That's Tevin Campbell. There's so much going on in these bars that I don't have time to explain it all. Heather B and Bahamadia were really dope female MCs in the 90s who really never blew up and were never really respected for the talent that they have. A lot of people could attribute that to them not having the sex appeal or getting on their album covers mostly naked like Lil' Kim and Foxy Brown, who had much more commercial success, although much less talent. So he's getting into how females are only valued based on their looks, and he references this Kevin Samuels guy who makes YouTube videos apparently just solely ranking women based on their looks. And then we get a nice shout out to the late great MC. And do you think that Doom knew how many fans he had in the hip hop world? He probably knew, but these people were not calling him out in life. In this case, Royce says, "You not a real Goon fan, you never got to pass. You not a real Doom fan, you never copped a mask." Now, when I say people didn't give him respect in life, I'm not talking about Royce, because he was featured on the deluxe edition of Prime. And it was very intentional that Royce chose this song to do his Doom shout out, because the producer of this track, Lord Sear, was close to Doom all the way back to the KMD days, producing a track on Black Bastards and also producing a couple tracks on Vaudeville Villain. And I really think you could spend about an hour researching Royce's verse alone. It is obscure, reference after reference and bars upon bars. Wrath. And we get a sample on this from the movie Se7en. And if you remember that movie, Wrath was represented by Brad Pitt, who was the hero up until that point, but he kills Kevin Spacey in the movie, representing Wrath. This proves that the album has been bars upon bars upon bars so far, because this is track 4 on the album, and this is the first real chorus we get. And Ransom walks a nice line between cold and cerebral when he spits bars like, "Should never judge a predator preying on food as long as he brought it home to his family." It's somehow dark and heartwarming at the same time. Lust/LUST, 2 songs, same word for the price of 1. And this was produced by the artist himself, Ransom for the first part, I assume, and 38 Spesh for the second part of the song, who's another example of an older artist who's making waves later in life. And with the song being Lust, the first part takes a different turn than you might expect, with the lust really being about Ransom's lust for the streets that he left. something he gave up for a better life, but it actually makes a really dope metaphor because lust is something that you crave even though you know that it may be bad for you, and that's what he's expressing here. The second part of lust, L-U-S-T, goes into left field on the beat and the harmonizing by the guest star here, but it's more in tune with what we might expect lust to be about, with L-U-S-T standing for love you sometimes. Sloth. Sometimes in hip hop, we have to appreciate how an artist can say something so dark in such a beautiful way. And Ransom does that right here. He says, hope for blessings, but I ain't gonna pray in no church to get 'em. Curse the reverend, cause he fake, only snakes got a thirst for venom. And this features JR, who is a good up and coming rapper. I reviewed his album, Hoop Dreams. If you haven't heard that, check it out. Pretty soon he will be in conversations with people like Ransom. Pride. You may remember this track from earlier in the year as the track that was one of the best and stole the show by a non-Griselda member on a Griselda soundtrack called Conflicted. Considering this title and looking back, it's kind of cool how this project may have come together, because did he name that track Pride and then go on to form the concept of the Se7en Deadly Sins, or did he already have this project all panned out back in January when he dropped this track? And I still appreciate these bars. He says, you talk about coke, never sold a slab of raw. Stop asking for the ball with zero passion to score. You criticize rap, but you never crafted a bar. That's like talking about sex, but you can't unfasten a bra. And there's something really appealing about how he is spitting some hard bars over an almost contradictory inspirational beat. Ransom is one of the top current MCs right now in terms of flow, but I'm still waiting for the fully fleshed out project. It's hard to say that something like this could be album of the year because it's not really full songs. It's just about the bars, and we love bars, and we appreciate what Ransom is doing with words and word play and rhyme schemes. And that makes this a great listen with a ton of replay value, but it is not the album that's going to take him to the next level. Based on his bars alone, I'm going to rate this an 8 out of a 12 pack. But just imagine what he could achieve if he added some really intricate beats and some fully fleshed out choruses with full song structures on a full-length project. Nevertheless, Ransom is one of my favorite current rappers right now. Fucking man says subscribe.
But if he's on his channel saying that my album's better than mine,
No, your album's the best.
there you go. Subscribe. Yeah, subscribe.